That was a really tough experience because I started in 2006. All of the brokers were making so much money, nobody wanted to spend any time with you. And then 2008 happened, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll spend time with you." And I kept thinking like, I'm beyond broke. Like I was literally beyond broke, and most of my friends got out of the business, and maybe I was just too dumb or naive or stubborn. But I said, gosh, I mean, at this point, I can't get any more broke. I might as well just keep going as long as I can. I remember my dad telling me like, told you should have never left accounting. You'd have a good job right now. And I was like, well, I'm not giving up just yet. So between that and then working at Liberty Property Trust, big publicly traded developer, and then I worked at Feldman Equities with the Feldman family, small family office. I've seen a lot of different things, which has helped me in my role now because everybody I interact with on my team on a daily basis.
Welcome to The Bay Builds, the podcast spotlighting founders and executives behind Tampa Bay's biggest brands. I'm your host, Tracie Domino, and today's episode comes with a personal disclosure I'm happy to make. Mike DiBlasi and I go back to Florida State University in the late 1990s, where I was a back girl for the FSU baseball team and Mike was the team's closer out of the bullpen. He still holds the FSU record for fewest earned runs by a reliever in a season, with an ERA of 1.14. He was a team captain on a squad that went to the College World Series 3 times and included Tampa Bay Rays manager Kevin Cash and Major Leaguer Matt Diaz. I had a front row seat to all of it. When professional baseball didn't call, Mike did something a lot of athletes can't do. He pivoted completely and rebuilt. He got his CPA, went into commercial real estate, and built a career that would take him to Cushman & Wakefield, Liberty Property Trust, to Feldman Equities, and ultimately to the top role at one of the most powerful commercial real estate firms in the world. Today, Mike is Senior Managing Director and North Florida Market Leader for CBRE, overseeing the firm's advisory services across Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville. He has completed nearly 650 transactions totaling more than 9 million square feet and has been named to the Tampa Bay Business Journal's Power 100 list 4 years running. He went from closing out games at the College World Series to closing deals across North Florida for the world's largest commercial real estate firm. Mike, welcome to The Bay Builds. Mike, welcome. Now, I was there at FSU, so I know this firsthand, but tell the audience, you were a closer on a team that went to 3 College World Series. What did that experience teach you about pressure, performance, and what it takes to show up when it matters?
I learned a lot of things about myself, and now as an adult, I can tell you I definitely have control issues, which would lead to why I liked being out on the mound when the game was on the line. But yeah, I mean, certainly the pressure to perform at a high level, the team's counting on you. Those are all lessons that you carry through you in life, especially when you're in a leadership position like I'm at now. There's plenty of days I'd rather be on the mound pitching and closing out ball games than doing what I'm doing every day. But yeah, just an unbelievable experience.
So when professional baseball that call didn't come, that had to be a difficult moment. So how did you process that, and how long did it take before you found your footing in a completely different direction?
It's a good question. So I did everything I could to throw the baseball as hard as I needed to throw to be a professional prospect. It never happened. So I kind of realized like God didn't design me to be a professional baseball player. I got everything out of my ability that I could. I felt like I competed at the highest level I was probably capable of. So I didn't have any regrets. Whereas I had some friends that had tons of talent and never made it, and that they may feel a different way. So, I quickly pivoted in another direction. Obviously, I picked a career in accounting that I had gone to school for, and then realized that's not what I wanted to be doing. But I think early on, I kind of tried to take a lot of the lessons I learned playing sports and college baseball and apply that to my professional life. And I've just kind of stayed along that path.
You got your CPA, and then the story I've heard, you tell us, is that you called every major Tampa brokerage looking for a job, and that wasn't really like the right path. What kept you going in that process?
Yeah, so a couple things. One, I picked accounting because it was hard.
Okay.
And I got an A in the first class, I guess, which is a bit of an anomaly. Most of my friends after the first class, they're like, well, I'm definitely not majoring in accounting. So I got an A. Now, I'm not sure I got an A ever after that, but I kept going and I eventually graduated. So, I tried to do things that are hard. Did I love accounting? No. Did I like some of it? Yes. So when I got out of school, my original plan was my best friend is a baseball agent and I was going to be the financial guy and he was going to be the agent, the attorney agent. And that was the plan. And I did that for about 6 months and then moved back home, tried some different accounting firms and just realized that I didn't really love it. And so I had to kind of think about what would I like to do. And I think ultimately what I landed on was just from playing sports and going to FSU, and that was a big risk where I wasn't supposed to make it, was if you want to get ahead, you got to put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel like that was going to happen in accounting. And my best friend's dad, the one I went to go work with, his dad was getting into commercial real estate and he started talking to me about it. And so what I realized is it required numbers, but it was a profession that you could create more of your own destiny. And so I just went down the Booker list, which is ironic now because we're in the Booker list and I see my name there and I realized that I would have called on myself and I just kind of made my way down. I think I had 3 or 4 bites, nothing great. I talk to every young person that reaches out to me because the irony is the person that had my role back then didn't respond to me and I still remember it. And so eventually I kind of weaseled my way in and somewhat of the rest of it's history.
So you built your career across Cushman & Wakefield, Liberty Property Trust, and Feldman Equities before landing at CBRE. Each of those stops gave you a completely different lens on commercial real estate. What did you learn at each one of those that you couldn't have learned anywhere else?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I originally started as a property manager, which again, I didn't even know what that was, but it was different than accounting. It got me my foot in the door. And so I had that experience. Then at Cushman & Wakefield, I was honored to be one of a couple young people that they brought in to be, the future of the firm as far as it relates to brokerage. That was a really tough experience because I started in 2006.
Yeah.
And all of the brokers were making so much money. Nobody wanted to spend any time with you. And then 2008 happened and they're like, oh yeah, I'll spend time with you. And I kept thinking like, I'm beyond broke. Like I was literally beyond broke. And most of my friends got out of the business and maybe I was just too dumb or naive or stubborn. But I said, gosh, I mean, at this point, I can't get any more broke. I might as well just keep going as long as I can. I remember my dad telling me like, told you should have never left accounting. You'd have a good job right now. And I was like, well, I'm not giving up just yet. So between that and then working at Liberty Property Trust, big publicly traded developer. And then I worked at Feldman Equities with the Feldman family, small family office. I've seen a lot of different things, which has helped me in my role now because everybody I interact with on my team on a daily basis is doing something that I've probably done before. And so I'm able to bring some context to those conversations that I think they appreciate. But yeah, I mean, our life's a culmination of our experiences. And I'm thankful that I had all those different ones, even though I didn't necessarily zero in on any of those as what I thought I would want to be doing long term.
Sure. So now nearly 650 transactions, 9 million square feet later, that's really just a staggering body of work. What does it actually take to sustain that level of production over nearly 2 decades? And where does that discipline come from?
Yeah, so I got lucky. Early on, a lot of those transactions were very, very small. And I worked on all the transactions nobody else wanted to. 7 years ago when I came to CBRE, we don't have a player coach model. So I did hang up my cleats, so to speak. And so I just now lead our team in the sense that those transactions have been zero since then. It's a lot of the same lessons that you derive from playing sports and team sports and collegiate sports as it relates to kind of what you got to do on a daily basis to be successful. And now I'm doing my best to be a business partner to the professionals I work with and try to help guide and shape some of the younger professionals that are earlier in their career that I know are having some of the same frustrations and challenges that I had, knowing that the sun is shining on the other side.
It's interesting that you say that because like, as you've said before, you like think of yourself kind of as this team captain in this managing director role. And what has surprised you about leading a 125 person office?
Yeah. So, well, a lot and not a lot at the same time. So I've always said I'm not really good at anything. I've never been really good at anything. So I have to work at it. And so I've spent a lot of time and I still spend a lot of time working on my leadership because it's not perfect. And some would argue it's not very good. But I try to lead from a perspective of I'm trying to put the interests of the clients and the organization and our team all together when we make decisions. So I do disappoint people quite a bit, which has been tough for me because I like to be in lockstep with people. But yeah, a lot of those team sport lessons where you've got to put the team ahead of yourself. You got to help people realize that we're going to put the team ahead of themselves in a business where most of the professionals living comes from what they generate. And that's not always easy. So I speak in a lot of team sport nomenclature. You know, my emails are high team, probably drive some people crazy, but I really believe that in the team concept, and we've got some really awesome people that we've been able to buy into that concept and that theory of like when people come together, you can accomplish pretty amazing things.
So when you're recruiting people to your team, like what's the pitch and how does CBRE offer, like, what is the difference and how do you get the best people in the market?
Great question. So part of the reason I took the role, because my wife told me I was crazy. I was responsible for like one person, and maybe other than me, and I was doing well. And when I told her about this opportunity, she's like, "Why would you want to have to be responsible for that many people?" And so CBRE has always been a great company, always world class, always number one globally. The Tampa office was not in that position. And so for me, I kind of viewed it as like, could I come and take over this sports team as the manager and general manager and turn it into number one? And so that was the mindset coming in. I got very lucky because I was able to, through frankly, a lot of relationships I just had developed over years of being in the business, able to convince some of my friends to come to work with me to help turn it around. That's and awesome. Those people were the kind of people that everybody wants to work with. And so when you attract those kind of people in leadership roles, you get that momentum going. And then all of a sudden, my phone's ringing. Early on, it was, I'm not going to CBRE, Mike. Like, I'm good where I'm at. And then it became, hey, do you have room for me? And so we've gotten to this point where I think it means something to be a part of our team. And, it's not for everybody, but we're real conscious on who we may be adding to the team because we're in a really good spot. And I know just playing on so many sports teams that locker room culture is so important to the overall success of the team that we really focus and dialed in on who's going to be a part of what we're doing.
Well, I imagine like the culture of the person is so important, not just what they bring business-wise, right? Like just to have that.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's hard. It's hard to find in business a lot of times. And we have really highly performing, successful people. And those personalities that drive people to that level of success sometimes isn't rooted in teamwork, right?
Right.
But we have some really good people that I always say are like really good people that perform at a high level, that care about their community, their family. Like the number of professionals we have that if they're leaving at 4:00, it's to go coach their kid's sports team, right? Like that's life. And you need to be doing those things. And that doesn't preclude you from success. But if you have your priorities straight, like I want to work with those kind of people, but I also want people that want to perform at a high level. I mean, we have a standard. And if the standard's not met, we have to make sure that we have players in those positions that can meet that standard. So it's not like we're like, oh yeah, if you're a great person, you're perfect for us. It's that balance,
right,
which is so hard to find. But I feel very fortunate that we've been able to do that.
So right now in this team, you have North Florida, Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville is one of the most watched commercial real estate markets in the country right now. What are you seeing in this market that most people aren't paying attention to yet?
That's a great question. I mean, so all three markets are very different. I'm here in Tampa. I oversee this market directly, so I have a little bit more of a pulse on the market, but I do spend time in Orlando and Jacksonville as well. I mean, they're all very different. I think the Sun Belt and then the North Florida markets that I lead are all very favorable for investors. I mean, we just came out with an investor sentiment survey, and Tampa was in the top 10 for all classes of commercial real estate investment as far as where investors want to put their resources and their capital, which is, it's pretty substantial when you think about all the really big markets across the country. I think what role AI will play in our impact of our business is yet to be seen. What does it mean for jobs and office paying jobs and entry level jobs? I mean, we see it too. I mean, we do a lot of financial analysis, and you kind of wonder like, what's that impact? At some point, are we going to have as many analysts that we do, or will we be using some tools that are out there that are getting better every day? So I think that's probably the biggest one. And in tying in with that, a big part of our company's business has been the data center business. You think about all these really large scale facilities all over the country that they're using to power these AI platforms. it's a pretty substantial number.
Well, I guess that sounds good for Tampa, right?
Yeah.
That's exciting. So now a little more on the personal side. So baseball teaches you about how to fail publicly and come back the next day. Commercial real estate is the same. Deals fall apart, clients walk, markets turn. How has the athlete in you shaped the way you handle that?
I'd like to think I had a decent level of success in baseball, but I failed a lot, and I failed publicly. Probably the worst outing I've ever had in my life was in the College World Series semifinal game when we were winning 7-1, and I was the closer, and I came in, and guess what I didn't do? I didn't close the game out. And thankfully, we won in 13 innings and got to play for the national championship. But I still will come across people to this day, they'll be like, man, I remember that game. I felt so bad before you. And I mean, it was about as small as I've ever felt. So again, not anything you want to experience, but you don't get better from the success. You get better from the failures.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I fail all the time at work. I mean, every day. I mean, I go home and I tell my wife, like, I probably handled that wrong, or, I didn't think about this. But you just keep going, and
Right.
you keep going, and that's all you can do. And that's the only way to grow. If you're not failing, then you're probably not challenging yourself. And yes, we all seek comfort. We're humans.
Sure.
That's what we all do. I seek comfort. And anytime I get super comfortable, I actually get uncomfortable because I'm like, this is not supposed to be this easy. I'm supposed to be leading the charge. I'm supposed to be taking us to the next level. So yeah, it's just a lot of the same mentality that you would take to sports. And again, I kind of go back to in baseball, like I was a good pitcher in high school, but I wasn't a great pitcher. And so I went to go play for a great team. Well, I couldn't go and do a lot of the things the other guys were doing because I wasn't that good. They would have easily told me to go home and pack my stuff, whereas a lot of the other guys were prize recruits and could get away with a little bit more.
Just thinking back to that, like that team, it just shows you like how much you can bring to the office and work environment, corporate America environment. Of like how every player brings a role, right? And
Yeah.
like how everyone is needed in that team. So you've described, like you've been described by people who've worked with you as someone who is analytical and interpersonal in equal measure, which is rare in this business. Which one do you think actually gets you further, and which have you had to work harder to develop?
That's a great question. I think interpersonal skills.
Mhm.
I mean, I was a 2.4 student at Florida State. The young college kids that call me, I usually ask them what their GPA is. And some of them are like, it's only a 3.4. Like, that's almost a full point ahead of where I was at. So I kind of, when I look at who we're hiring, especially in entry level roles, I tend to look at outside of just the numbers. School's important. That's all that important. It shows that you've got a drive and ambition. At the same time, we work in teams. And when you work in a team, you have to be able to work with people that maybe you don't love every day. You got to find common ground. You've got to be able to effectively communicate. You got to be a good listener. Those are things that I continue to work on. I think I have some natural talent there, but again, I need to keep working on it. But yeah, I think most of my success has just been my ability to kind of balance relationships with holding people accountable, at the same time trying to see the big picture and balancing all that, which isn't easy. The analytical skills I think just was kind of born with, but again, not really great analytical skills because I still have my work reviews from when I was a young CPA, and they said I needed to work on my documentation and my mathematics and showing how I got to the numbers I got to. So.
Well, for anyone listening, they can see, like, don't be discouraged, right?
Listen, if I can figure it out, anybody can figure it out.
So you went from the guy executing deals to being the guy responsible for everyone else's deals.
Yes.
Do you miss being a producer at all? Is there any part of you that wants to stay in the game
Yeah,
instead
it
of being the
is.
coach some days?
It is. There's some times where it's like, I really got great joy. It's the, hey, I'm going to spend my time and I'm going to get creative and we're going to figure this out. And when we do, here's your reward, which is part of the reasons why I was drawn to the business. I do get that same feeling now recruiting. So I've been fortunate in my 7 years to probably recruit over 30 people across our various geographies. And every time I get that same sense of pride. And then furthermore, I get a great sense in value in seeing other people succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it doesn't bother me when somebody that I know does really well and maybe earns a big fee or whatever. I mean, I can say, well, I'm on their team. I don't look at it and go, gosh, I wish that was me. So I think there's some personality traits in there that allow me to step into this role, knowing that leadership's about sacrifice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not doing this for free, but I did have to sacrifice a career that I had that was going really well on the transactional side, but it was for the betterment of what we're doing. And for me, when you kind of think about what's your legacy in life or business, I feel like I've had a far greater impact leading this group of people than I would have if I just kind of stayed in my own little world in my silo and had a great career and made a bunch of money and retired and said, okay, well, what did you really accomplish? Is there anybody out there that's going to go, that guy helped me with my career? Right. And maybe there isn't that many people right now, but I'm trying. And hopefully when it's all said and done, there will be some people that will raise their hand and maybe they'll say, you know what? Mike gave me my first opportunity. Whatever that is, I take great pride in enjoying that.
That's awesome. I'm sure that there'll be many, many of those people.
I don't know. We'll see.
So CBRE is the largest commercial real estate firm in the world, and you run their North Florida operation at one of the most pivotal moments in this region's history. Yeah. What does your vision for the market look like 5 years from now, and what does CBRE's role in it look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. To your point, we are number one, right? And I love that feeling. It was kind of the same when going to Florida State playing baseball. Every year we were number one at some point. You want to be part of number one. You want to be at the top, but it's hard to stay there. And so I get a lot of pressure to continue to find ways to grow the business. So right now we're opening an office down in Southwest Florida. I've recruited 8 or 9 people into that market. The Florida as a whole has been great for our business. A lot of tailwinds post-COVID. We're continuing to see a lot of wealth move into Florida, which drives a lot of investment activity, which is great. But we have to continue to find different ways to grow. And so that pressure's there. And that's my job. I have to wake up every day and say, we did this last year. How do we get there? And sometimes you want to say, gosh, we just did great last year. Why do we have to keep growing? But at the same time, it's a great responsibility and privilege.
So you're on the FSU Real Estate Program Executive Board and the CEO Council of Tampa Bay, and you are clearly giving back to the next generation of people coming up in the business. What's the thing you most want them to understand before they have to figure it out the hard way?
My kids tell me all the time, Dad, like I take them to school every morning, 11 and 13. They'll go, Dad, no more life lessons today. I'm a life lessons guy because I lived through a lot of life lessons that fortunately, unfortunately, my kids haven't had to live through. So I do find myself, especially with some of the earlier professionals, it's like, sometimes I sit them down, I say, you need to get up early. You need to go work out. Like why is 9 o'clock late? Why can't you get in things like that. There's a little bit of dad in me in that sense. So, I think when you're young and grinding and trying and not having the success that you think maybe you deserve or that you're hoping to get, it's hard to keep going. I mean, there was plenty of days where I said, gosh, am I ever going to be successful? I met my wife and she had a great job and she had money saved for a wedding. And I'm thinking like, man, she's probably looking at me like, this guy's a loser. But I think you just kind of keep at it. And if you're the kind of person other people want to work with and that clients want to work with, and you work hard and you just keep going, I think eventually good things happen to good people. But it's definitely a balance because we kind of spoon feed our kids on a lot of things nowadays. And I don't always think that's what's best for them. It doesn't build resiliency. So I've tried to balance the two.
So you went from, as we said, from the mound at the College World Series to one of the most senior commercial real estate roles in Florida. What is the through line? What is it about Mike DiBlasi that made both of those things possible?
Probably a little bit, again, I'm never been really great at anything. So I've always had to work. A little bit of, I do have a high level of what I expect, a high expectation of myself, more so than probably most people. I'm very stubborn and hard-headed. So like, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it. All of those things, and probably a lot of luck and relationships. I think the whole aspect of, relationships are so important in life. I remember when I graduated college and I said to my dad, hey Dad, like I got a degree. Anybody that will hire me? He's like, I don't have any friends. Go send out your resume. And I'm trying to instill in my kids, like, you never know who you come across in life that may be able to help you one day, or you may be able to help them, and just kind of building those relationships. It makes it all worth the while. So I think I've just gotten lucky. I've probably been in the right place at the right time, or I was at the wrong place at the right time and I just wasn't willing to leave, whatever it was. At the same time, I don't feel like I'm anywhere special. I'm still capable of more. So I have to figure that out because a lot of the goals I set 7 years ago coming into CBRE, Like I had some pretty lofty goals. We far surpassed them, and I've never let myself enjoy that, and I probably should. But I also want to be cognizant of not being overly complacent.
Sure.
It's hard.
Absolutely. Well, this has been awesome. Now I have to ask you, we have what we call our lightning round. We ask everyone the same three questions.
Okay. All right.
And the first one is, what would you say is your hype song? Or maybe you'd call it your walk-up song.
That's easy. AC/DC, Thunderstruck.
Oh my, I'm so happy you said that because I still associate that song with you like this many years later. And I said to a friend yesterday that if you said anything else, I think I would be devastated.
If you turn it on, there's something chemically that goes on in my brain, and I transform into somebody that I'm not, which is how I think I was able to kind of fake my way into some success. But yeah, every time that comes on, it gets me going.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. What is your favorite restaurant in the Tampa Bay area right now?
Me and my family, we like to go to Charlie's. We
That's
just
a great
like
choice.
it. Yeah, it's great.
I think they're building a new one, right?
Eventually, yeah. I've seen the sign on West Shore Boulevard. We'll see when they get there.
And finally, what is the best business gift you've ever received?
I don't know if I can say this, but like an opportunity.
No, that's absolutely
right.
You could have.
I've had a lot of people give me opportunities, and that's all it was. And I tried to make the most of it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
Thanks for being here.
Awesome.
I knew from the time I was watching Mike close out games at FSU that he was built differently. Watching what he's built since then, the career, the teams, the reputation, it all makes sense. The competitor never left. He just found a new game. If you're looking for a commercial real estate partner in Tampa, Orlando, or Jacksonville, visit CBRE.com and find Mike's team. And if today's conversation fired you up about what's being built right here in Tampa Bay, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. I'm Tracie Domino, and this is The Bay Builds. We'll see you next time.